It's been a very hot, dry summer here on Vancouver Island, and our native Garry Oak species have given up early this year. They've been looking like this, with dry, crunchy leaves, since the beginning of August. Normally it would take until the end of September. Of course, it's not great to have a summer drought. It's tough on all the plants and animals, but as a basket maker, I notice all these lovely sun-bleached materials just laying around. I mean, these leaves are gorgeous. Here's some Garry Oak leaves that I picked up this time last year compared to this year's leaves. Because there's been no rain, they haven't even started to biodegrade yet. So let's just take a moment and enjoy their pale golden loveliness, shall we? Now, here's how you can make a wreath out of these beautiful leaves. There is a little bit of prep. You need to soak the leaves overnight and make sure that they stay submerged, otherwise they'll just float. After you've soaked them overnight, you're going to need to find a hoop. Any old hoop that you have around is fine. This is 2 or 3 willow saplings wrapped together in kind of like a wreath. And this one is a small bunch of Virginia creeper that I made into a wreath as well. You don't have to make your own wreath. You can just find a thrift store wreath or whatever you can find as a base, because it will get covered. Make sure your leaves are nice and pliable. If they're not, they're just going to break and crumble when you start tying them together. And at this point, you'll probably notice the amazing aroma of the leaves. I couldn't figure out why they smell so damn good, so I did some research and found out this kind of oak wood is used in barrel-aged whiskey, partly due to its vanilla-like aroma. You'll need some sturdy twine. I like cotton-based twine or anything that's going to biodegrade back into the earth, because one of the great things about this project is you can literally put it on the compost pile after you're tired of it. Start by making little stacked bundles of leaves, around 4 or 5 in each bundle. And I will put the larger ones underneath and the smaller ones on top. And then tie them up very simply by just wrapping the twine around and tying very securely. I have a pile of offcuts from waxed cotton food wraps that I use for projects like this, and they're great because they're really grippy. But you don't necessarily need that for this project. Just make sure the leaf bundles are really tight and they're not going to fall out. And now you're going to make as many little leaf bundles as it takes to visually go around the hoop you've chosen. They're going to overlap, kind of like shingles, so make sure you take that into account. I ended up using this thin willow hoop I had kicking around just because I liked the size of it. So start making your bundles and enjoy that gorgeous vanilla leaf aroma as you go. And remember, even though we're in high speed, we still want to stop and admire the beauty of the leaves. Look at that. Next, take your prepared bundles and tie them onto the hoop. Just make sure they're tied on there really, really tight. And here's where you want to start putting the second bundle on top of that first bundle with the overlap that I was talking about. Here's the third bundle being added, and you just keep going and overlapping until you have covered the entire base. Here's a hot tip: if you run out of leaves mid-project like I did, boil some water and soak the leaves, and they should be ready in about 20 minutes to half an hour. I don't usually do this because it's so easy to just pop them in water overnight, but it's great when you're mid-project like this. And there's your finished wreath. It's going to have a little bit of a wonky shape until you start fanning out the leaves. But before you do that, flip it over and take some of those loose strings and make a hanging loop for hanging it up. And then you go ahead and snip off some of the other loose strings And then I went and made another hanging loop on the other side because I didn't know which direction I wanted to hang it in yet. You'll want to arrange the leaves by fanning them out while they're still damp. Get the shape you like and make sure you're really happy with it because it will dry into that shape. And here's the wreath on our front door. It's still a little bit damp, so I'm still zhuzhing the leaves a little bit into a more perfect shape. Once this dries, it will be super brittle. Keep that in mind. But if it's hanging up on the door, it's out of the way, and as long as it doesn't get smooshed, it'll last all winter. And remember, since you've used nothing but cotton garden twine and a plant-based hoop, you can actually just throw this on the compost pile when you're tired of it, and it should decompose back into the earth, nourishing the lovely soil just the way these leaves originally would have.